Hello, 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 and welcome to the Conversation with Stevie. I am Dr. Stevie Aisha Mills, and this is the place we uncover the why behind what people do. I love helping Christian women get seen and get paid online, and the reason why I do what I do is because I believe the world needs to see you, and yes, you too. So that is why I do what I do, and I'm super excited about this conversation, y'all. This conversation we're about to have with this extraordinary woman is one that's pivotal. So I want you to get your pad and your pen because you want to get this important information that she is about to give us on today. Hi, Sharon. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Stevie. I am great, and how are you?
I'm doing well. Super excited that you are here. Oh, my goodness. I am a strong believer that the best introduction one can do is of themselves. So please do let us know who you are, what you do.
Well, my name is Sharon Baker Boykin. I'm an attorney and a legal life coach. I help business professionals get their stuff in order to protect their family, loved ones, charitable and religious organizations with a legal estate plan that addresses who gets all that stuff that they've acquired during their lifetime. Because as you and I know, you can't take it with you when it's your time to go.
Listen, y'all, Sharon is up here being modest, so you know what I'm going to do is tell y'all that she is a legal eagle. Listen, we are talking to somebody who is proficient in law. We're talking to someone who has, I do believe, about 40 years in the legal field. Y'all, listen, some people can't do stuff for 40 minutes. Nevertheless, 40 years. She has been in private practice. She has been a magistrate court judge, a prosecutor. She has managed state departments, probate court. Look, I'm trying to tell y'all, I was so excited about this conversation because a fun fact about me, as many people know, I'm a proud Aggie. But my aunt, before she passed away, was the dean of the law students at North Carolina Central. So law is very much important to me. And so I am enamored with this. And so I had to like tell her she is not a hidden figure out here in these streets, honey. She is doing it. So we can dig in now. We can dig in. And I love the term legal life coach. I love that so much. And so as a legal life coach, what inspired you to merge your extensive legal background with coaching?
Well, Dr. Stevie, I tell you, I'm a black female, and I've done some jobs and been in some positions that you don't see us in. And when I learned what's going on, especially behind the scenes that we don't know, that's how we get ourselves in trouble because we don't even know the rules to play the game of life to succeed. So one of the things, that's always been a passion of mine is to help my fellow man, the one who wants the help now. Not going to force it to you, but if you want the help, I will be one of the persons, depending on what you're seeking help for, to give you some help. And there are just so many things on the books that we know nothing about. As you mentioned, yes, in June of 2024, I will be an attorney for 40 years in the state of Georgia. That surprises me, Dr. Stevens, when I think back 40 years. But yes, and I've done and seen things, and what I do is I use that knowledge of what I know to help people navigate through their life, to clear up their mess, get their stuff in order, take care of their loved ones, leave a legacy, and enjoy life because when the time comes for the transition, there's no fighting and problems. You've left instructions as to what you want to have happen to your stuff. And it's unfortunate, Dr. Stevie, that the statistics show that we don't do that. If I can share with you a couple of statistics that I got from the Consumer Reports, an article that they wrote back in August of 2022. 61% of white people 67% of English-speaking Asians, 77% of Black people, and 82% of Hispanics die without a will or an estate plan in place. So every group, the majority of us, do not prepare and put a plan together to address who gets all this stuff we've been acquiring over our life, including a business, homes, cars, bank accounts, jewelry, clothes, whatever it is that you have. Somebody would love to have it. Why not you decide who gets it?
Ooh, those stats, we got to do better. Listen.
Yeah.
And listen, yes. And so thank you for sharing that with us. I do have an additional question about that.
Okay.
What would you say would be like the great age or the best age for somebody to start thinking about putting this paperwork in process? Because we know, there's not a day or a time. We don't know the final hour, things like that. So what is the age that you would say this is when this really needs to start taking precedence?
Well, Dr. Stevie, that's a hard question because as you and I know, we don't know when that transition date is going to appear. We don't know how old we're going to be. You have babies that don't survive. You have people in their hundreds who don't survive. And whatever age you are at, I would say is the age you need to be concerned about. And depending upon what stuff you have. Let's say you have minor children under the age of 18. Who do you trust to take care of and they're probably your most valuable assets. Who do you want to take care of your kids if something happens to you, both parents, and they could die in the same accident or same, catastrophic event? Who do you trust to take care of your kids? Because, see, some people just will start coming to the court asking to be named the guardian over the children because they see that as a key to the money. They're not studying about your kids. And everybody knows in your family there's somebody that you definitely do not want in your business. And I guarantee that'll be the main one coming to the court asking to be in charge because they get paid out of your estate to take care of this business. And it becomes, just sad because when I was working in the probate court administrator, I saw some of the ugliest fights, Dr. Stevie. And then I looked at, online, I saw some people names that we recognize. I mean, how did Chadwick Boseman, the actor that played Black Panther in the movies, Tupac Shakur, Prince, Sonny Bono, President Abraham Lincoln, Marvin Gaye, and a whole lot of other folks, why did those people die without putting an estate plan in place? But it's not about, those that got money. It's all of us. We just have stuff that we need to be a good steward of and leave a legacy, as the word says, for our children's children. And the only way that can occur is if we put something in writing and follow the legal requirements in your state so that when that transition happens, there's no fighting and your instructions will be followed. So I wish I could say a definite age, but I would just say, in Georgia, you can be as young as 14 years old and do a will. Because I guess they have children that are, actors and entertainers and what have you, but you just never know when that transition date is going to occur. So everybody, the clock is ticking for all of us. We had a date that we were born, and we all have a date that we're going to transition to that next level. Hopefully going up instead of going down. But when that date occurs, it's too late. And if you're and think about COVID coming back in 2019 and still here, but when it was really raging, you had people dying and the hospitals were full, people were getting sick. And at that point, you can't do a will and leave it all to the church so you can buy your way into heaven. Because your family is going to say you were in your right mind when you did that. So, there are some caveats in every state about getting it done appropriately and, getting signed, sealed, and delivered so that when the time comes, there's no fighting. we're already sad that our loved one has transitioned. You don't want to have those ugly fights because they didn't put their wishes in writing, and now family members are fighting over the stuff. Because think about it, there's a lot of people that have been married, got multiple times, got children with previous relationships. The kids don't all get along. They don't like each other. They don't speak. But when that person dies without a will, here comes all of those kids and that legal spouse, if they had one. Now they're in court fighting over the stuff. And it gets to be really very ugly. So that's my thing. I went through a period where I had a lot of deaths in my family. Some had their stuff in order, some did not. So I understand how it feels when you're in the middle of those fights. And I also saw it from the court's perspective to see what happens when you do have it in place and when you don't have it in place. Like you said, those statistics are eye-opening when every group, the majority, die without having a plan in place.
Yeah. I can definitely concur with my father passing away that even there's some steps that I learned even prior to the whole thing of the death too. And legally, even the hospitals, when your loved one is in the hospital and they have certain rights, if the paperwork is not in place, period, then you can't even get information. And that, could be very stressful, depending on, like you were just mentioning, about the blended families, the remarrying, all this stuff. That could be very, very stressful. So even having, a living will and a directive and different things going on, I think is very key. So I am very thankful for this information because, this is the stuff that we tend not to want to think about, but this is the most important thing. And when you have this in place prior to that day and prior to that time, then less stress can happen. And so I wanted to ask you about your speaking topics because, we have all kinds of different things here that I see that you speak on about the do's and don'ts of making your last will and testament, affirmative steps to protect your loved ones, some great and amazing topics. And so what I wanted to ask you, because they include the wills, the protecting assets, and the family law, could you highlight a few essential points or common misconceptions within these topics that individuals often overlook or misunderstand?
Absolutely. Wow. Think about this. I'm going to give you this scenario. Let's say you have a husband and wife. They're married legally. They have a house. They have children. And let's say the husband had been married before and he had children by his first wife, and now he's married to a second wife. They have a couple of kids. They have this house, but the husband dies and he has no will. Who do you think, Dr. Stevie, owns the house?
It'll be the spouse.
Now, 10 times out of 10, when I ask couples that question, the wife, and sometimes, the wife puts her hand on her hip and she says, Sharon, what are you asking me that question for? It's my house. In Georgia, in some states, each state has something different and unique on the books, and people don't assume Just like I said, this wife thinks, it's my house. My name is on the mortgage. It's on the title. But in Georgia, there are two possible answers to that question. Number one, again, husband and wife, no wills, husband dies first. Let's say they got he had 3 kids before he got married to the second wife, and they have 2 children. So he has 5 total kids and a wife. When he dies, if that that title to the house just said husband and wife, when he dies without a will, now we have to slice up his 50% of the house. The wife does not automatically get the whole house. She still has her 50%, but she is one of his heirs. So the court in Georgia is going to slice up his 50% of the house. Because there were 5 kids, she gets a third of his 50% plus, and all those 5 kids, no matter how old they are will own a percentage of the 2/3 of his 50%. Now, that's one scenario. Second scenario in Georgia, you have to put language in the deed of the house that says husband and wife with right of survivorship. If that language is in the deed of that house, husband and wife with rights of survivorship, whichever one dies first, the survivor now gets 100% of the house. Most people don't even know where their deed is and looked at it, so the question now becomes, oh, Sharon, I didn't know that. I said, just because you didn't know does not mean that depending on how your deed papers are set up, that court is going to follow the law. So, again, now that people hear that information, they said, oops, if you don't know where your deed is, go to the courthouse, the county where you live, the clerk's office, get a copy of your deed, check it out and see, does my state require that special language so that if one person dies, the survivor gets the whole house? And if it's not there and your state requires it, I do have some ways you can clean it up so that it is, if one spouse dies, the survivor gets the whole house, if that's what the person wants. So that's what I'm saying. People assume they know, they don't know, and then after the fact, it's too late.
Wow.
And you're talking about an ugly fight. Think about this. Now you have a house that the wife owns. Let's say she owns her 50% plus a third of his 50%. So she owns, about 60, 70% of the house. So she has to deal with those 5 total kids who now own a percentage of the house. She can't sell it or do anything unless all the owners agree and sign off on the documents. Now, if you got children from different relationships and they don't all like each other, do you think they're going to all agree? Somebody's just going to say no just because.
You're right. You're right
so
about that.
It gets to be a little ugly, but I know they didn't intend for that. They thought they knew what they were doing, but I would say, while you are in your right mind today, get in contact with me so we can talk about what your situation is. And if you're in a different state, I can find you some help in those other states where you live. I just want you not to fall into that group of that statistics that I read earlier, with all those high percentages of people who died without a will. I want you to take action. If we're Christian women, we read the Word, and the Word tells us to leave an inheritance for our children's children. That means we got to put something in writing, and you got to know what you need to do so that you're protecting yourself and your loved ones. But that's one unique scenario, and there are many, many others, Dr. Stevie, that people need to understand what their options are, get the information, and then take action so that, put things in place, and then now you can enjoy the rest of your life and when the time comes, you got something in place to protect your loved ones.
Listen. This is good. I'm going to ask you our signature question, and after that we're going to get your contact information. But our signature question for our audience goes like this. It's a fill-in-the-blank question, and it's like, Dr. Stevie, we cannot leave the conversation today without everyone knowing, and then you fill in the blank.
We can't leave the conversation today without everyone knowing they have power to make a decision, to take some affirmative actions to protect their loved ones, their children, spouses, charitable and religious organizations. You have the power in your hands to get things done to protect them. You love them. And again, I want your head, by getting the information, your heart, because you know it's the right thing to do, and your fingers to go to that website or call me on the phone or get some information so you can put them all three together and take action. You got to do something. If not, the state that you live in, where your stuff is going to, make some decisions that you probably don't like what the state is going to do.
Woo. All right. Listen, y'all, I know if you've not been taking notes up to this point, you definitely want to take a notepad, pen, electronic, or paper, whatever you want to do, because you need to get this information from Sharon. What is the way that we could contact you?
Go to my website, www.helpmegetmystuffinorder.com. I'll say it again, www.helpmegetmystuffinorder.com. I have a free gift for you on that site, and you can get in contact with me. But first and foremost, just know that you have the power to take action. Please take action. Go to that website, www.helpmegetmystuffinorder.com, and I look forward to hearing from you so we can take those next steps.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing all of your knowledge and coming to have a conversation with us today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and I look forward to connecting, with you again in the future. I would love to come back and, there are some other conversations we can have. And I don't want this, this topic to feel negative, but it's just something that we really need to be aware of and take care of while we can.
Yes. Y'all, listen. Sharon's going to help me get my stuff in order.com, .org, .net. We're getting this stuff in order because I have already had one parent go to heaven, so I understand that. But my mother, I am her only child, so I need to get all the stuff in order before that time comes or before even my time comes. I get it. So y'all go to helpmegetmystuffinorder.com. Make sure you're there. And, I can be connected with, just by knowing how to spell my first name correctly, Stevii. And you guys can understand that the I as in my name stand for increasing income. You can go to workwithstevie.com. Again, workwithstevie.com. Listen. I want to tell you all to make it a great day. Don't have a great day. Make it a great day. Why? Because you, and yes, you too have the power to do so. And let's make sure that we are making our days great by protecting our legacy. Bye for now.